Imagine what could happen if knowledgeable pro-family voters showed up in November. CitizenLink is working on a massive project to identify, inform, and motivate people like us in key states. You can help. Go to CitizenLink.com and click on the banner. The election is here. How does it look for Christian conservatives and the issues we care about? This is the CitizenLink Report. I'm Stuart Shepard, along with our president, Tom Minnery, who's been on the road a lot lately. Hi, Tom. Welcome back.
I have. This is a time when a lot of people are interested in what we're doing at CitizenLink.
Now, we have all been watching the political ads, and we have been seeing the news reports about how the campaigns are going. And many of us, we're getting phone calls. I've got a couple last night at the house telling me to do this or that. How is this election season looking for Christian conservatives around the country this year?
Well, the overall point of view has to be the popularity of the president. The popularity of the president is very, very low. And so opponents of all types, particularly those in the important Senate races, some of whom happen to be Christians and conservatives, they will do well. But it's not a wave election for conservatives, as we all had thought, because the Republican brand is not shining. It's not sharp. And part of the problem is the candidates have been running away from those important issues of life and marriage.
Let's talk about that a bit, because in many cases where I've seen the ads, and we tend to look at stuff a lot here from around the country, the only way you'd know that a particular candidate has a life stance or a marriage stance is from his opponent's ads saying that he's a crazy person. What do you make of that?
Isn't it ironic when the liberal Democrat candidates are the ones talking about the life issue, namely that the Republican candidate is a radical, the Republican candidate wants to do away with all contraception.
They're too extreme.
None of which is accurate. Lies. Not to say that Republican ads are all fair either, but on that issue, there is a lot of blowtorch rhetoric coming from the left that actually has caused the Republicans, who have a case to make about the sanctity of human life, to run away from that issue.
Now, if people care about those issues, it is important for them, especially this election season, to get out and vote. Explain why.
It's always important for people who are Christians and conservatives to vote, regardless of the issues, regardless of the year. It's a duty. It's a Romans 13, honor the governing authorities duty to vote as a citizen. But a number of the candidates, despite the fact that they are not exerting their pro-life credentials, are indeed pro-life, and it will be possible to get pro-life protections into lots of bills that will be able to pass the House and now also the Senate, should the Republicans take over the Senate. Now, whether the president will sign those into law, many he will not, some he will be unavoidably required to sign for this, that, or the other reason. Yeah. So the pro-life cause stands a chance of advancing.
How does that play out? Because we're going to assume that the people watching us now either are going to vote for sure, there's no doubt, or they've already sent in their ballots in this election season. They're probably doing the calculus in their head, and they keep hearing this could see a conservative majority in the Senate by maybe 52 seats, 53, 54. I've heard a lot of different numbers, but that sets up, as you just talked about, bills getting passed that are going to hit that wall in the White House. How does that work?
Well, it's always important to highlight the difference between conservatives and liberals. The issue of marriage, the issue of sanctity of human life, or the issue of religious liberty more and more, are issues that highlight the differences. It remains to be seen whether the Republicans, who likely will lead both houses of Congress, will be strong and courageous enough to put bills on the president's desk that include protections for the unborn. If they do, and if the president is able to veto them, he undoubtedly will, and that sets up the argument leading into the 2016 presidential election, because a number of the Republicans who run for the presidential nomination will be pro-life conservatives. We'll see whether they have the courage to talk about that issue, but highlighting it during these next 2 years will be a good thing.
So it's always important to keep an eye on the long term, on the big picture, because there are short-term wins and losses, but it's the long-term movement we're looking for.
Indeed it is, and shortly after this election is over, all eyes will be on the candidates running in 2016. So You think you've had enough television commercials for 2014? Just wait. It's going to start all over again soon.
Now, CitizenLink has been involved in quite a few states this year. Give us an update on what we've been up to and how it's going.
It's been going well. We've had some funding from very gracious constituents of CitizenLink to allow us to be heavily engaged in those very important Senate race states where it's most important for people to know what the candidates believe on the issues. We've just talked about the pro-family issues, life, marriage, religious liberty. Often the candidates won't stress what they believe on those issues. We do in sending mailers. We've sent well over 2 million mailers into targeted homes to people who, if they remembered to vote, probably would vote the right way, but they just need a little encouragement. And we've done more than 3 million telephone calls. There's not robocalls, but live calls with real people trying to make the calls to those same households, reminding people where the candidates stand and trying to assess where they particularly stand, that is the people we call, on the issue, so we can encourage them properly come election day. So we've been part of the mix this year without question.
And this is all in partnership with our Association of Family Policy Councils.
Oh, we couldn't do any of this without the network of family policy councils in those particular states who have been able to hire, with funding from CitizenLink, field directors. We have 35 full-time field directors hired for the campaign in 8 states, and they in turn have attracted small armies of volunteers to make all of these phone calls. And without the Family Policy Council executive leadership knowing who makes the best field directors to hire and where do I get volunteers, we couldn't do any of this. So it's a good partnership.
Very good. Now, I just want to point out to you watching us now that next week's CitizenLink report will be delayed by 1 day for fairly obvious reasons, because we can't predict the future, so we're going to have to wait till after the election to talk about the results, and we'll unpack what happened and how it looks from there, huh?
Yes, it'll be good to get to election day and finally figure this whole thing out.
All right. Tom, thanks for your insights. Appreciate your time here.
Oh, you're welcome.
And thank you for watching. We always appreciate hearing from you. You may write us at mail@citizenlink.com. Send us your questions, your comments, your criticisms. We're open to all that. And do remember to pray for this election. Pray that pro-life, pro-family, pro-religious freedom citizens will get to the polls and cast their ballots this year. And remember, stand tall and be heard.